Good morning. I think this will be the last video that I make of these until the flip through, like the final. So I have all the journal covers done almost. I still have to glue these on, but before I do that, I want to bind the journals. And I was asked yesterday how I do my bindings, or where, actually the question was, where do you even begin? Well, you first kind of have to find a book or make a cover. That's not always where you start, but a good place that I start is I kind of decide on what my cover is going to look like. And I think I've said before, I have a notebook that I make a list of everything that I want to make for that journal. And generally, if I'm using like graphics or whatever, it's really easy then to kind of choose your papers and choose the color of the covers. So this, I believe I showed you guys this last week. So I have my signature ready. So what I do for my signatures, and I've never actually made a cover quite like this. Before these slide everywhere, I always clip all of my papers together. And I do it top and bottom, making sure that I have everything lined up. And then before, like I clip those two sides, then I will flip through again just to make sure everything that I wanted is kind of lined up in there. Like all the graphics are obviously like to the top. Okay, so it is. So then I smush it again together. See right here, you want it as close to that seam as possible. And then another thing too, if you have a lot of embellishments in there, I don't usually, but you may want to take all of these out. I don't usually, for a couple of reasons. Because I want to see how thick the journal is going to be. And then I also want to make sure that I've given myself enough room, that it's not going to be alligatored. So that's why I do what I do and why I do it the way I do it. There's a ton of YouTubers that will show you numerous different ways to do it. So then I am actually, when I do ones like this, I actually freehand more than anything else. The only thing that I do is I measure, and my girl has my measuring tape. So my favorite ruler. Oops, sorry guys. So obviously before you put in your signature, you need to make sure your graphics like line up here. See the pockets right here. So I want my graphics going this direction, right? Okay, so I'm going to set this down since I don't have my metal ruler. And my inches actually don't start, and this actually does not even have inches on it. Does this one? I think this one might. Oh, gosh darn it. Yeah. Okay, so the inches actually don't start until here. So I'm going to lay this one approximately to the edge of my journal here. And then I'm going to just kind of look to see how long it is. Oh, wait, hold on. This has a 0 in it. How about that? I was wondering about those little fancy rulers that I see like Patricia Veramonte using. It's got like a 0 in the middle. So this will actually be really easy to find the center. So my head will probably get in the camera here, but I can't see. Okay, so there's a 4-inch here's 4-inch, so if we move it down a little bit, 4 inches on each side. Okay, so and then if we're in the middle, then it should be, so that's 4, just under 3/4, 4, and just under 1/4. So that should be about right. So I'm gonna go, actually, before I do that, set that there. Okay, so this is kind of just a hard and fast rule. You can change it if you don't like using this much, but I do mostly because I've seen lots of YouTubers do it this way. So you want to take the stuff that you're binding your journal with and go the length of it 4 times. Okay. I actually thought I was all prepared, but I'm going to have to dig my needle out from over here. Okay, so I use a yarn needle. I know some people use a pointy needle, but this one's kind of beveled. I use this kind because sometimes going through these papers, it's gonna get tough. And I end up poking myself. So I use the flatter type. Okay, so we found basically the center right here. Okay, so then if we divide 4 3/4 out, see, what is that? That would be roughly 2, let's see, 2 and right under a half, right? Would that look right? We're doing one here and one here. I think I'm going to go up a little bit to the 3 here. And then, let's see, that's about 1 inch away from the bottom. So I think I'll just go at the 3s. Okay, so, and since this is middle, I think I'm going to mark it with a pen so it might be easier when we go through. Open it just a little bit, and I'm going to put just a little tiny mark there. And a little tiny mark here. And a little tiny mark here. Okay. I'm going to move my ruler. Back in for that one a little bit. And I can't see the one over here, so we're going to line it back up. That old adage, measure twice, cut once, really applies to your signatures here. Of course, if you're just eyeballing it, you're obviously not measuring, but you want to make sure that you're not messing it up. Okay, so I've actually already creased the soft cover, so I'm pretty in there. So I don't use a book. Some do, some don't. If you feel more comfortable using one, then you should definitely use one. So I hold mine and I push through with an awl like that. Okay, see, I went all the way through the spine and the signature all at once. And then I'll come up and do the next one. But before I push, I'll make sure I've got a good hold of everything. And I don't know if you could see that, but I spread my fingers. 1, to give it support. 2, to make sure it's straight. And 3, so I don't poke myself. Okay. Now, I'm going to come down to this 3rd one here. And go ahead, go slowly. There we go. And I've gone all the way through. Okay. All right, now without moving your stuff too much, you're going to thread your needle. Like so. And I use leave a tail about like that. I do my first threading, so I go through the front, make sure I've gone all the way through the back. I pull it, but then I stop and I hook it through this piece right here. Oh. Like that. So it holds it so we don't lose it, okay? Okay, so I kind of pull that tight, slide that back, and then I look here, find my hole here, and you might have to pick up your journal a little bit and feed it through all the way here. Pull it tight. Go down through this one. There we go. Feed it through this back side here. Come up through that one, pull tight. Now this one is going to be more difficult usually for me. Okay, then you feed it through here, but don't unhook your string yet from your needle. All right, see how both of my strings are on this side of the thing? You need one to be on the other side. So it should, when all is said and done, it should look like a plus sign, okay? And that's important because if you were to just tie your knot on this side and not include this, it will unravel easier. And then when this knot works through, then your signature is going to wobble and fall out. Okay, so then what I do is, since this string is the one that goes this way, I pull it this direction to tighten it up. Then I pull this string in this direction without tearing these pages, and you want it tight. I mean, you want it not to give, okay? Okay, and then I double knot mine. I don't know if the double knotting is necessary, but I would rather just make sure that it's good and tight in there. Okay, and then if you have multiple signatures, you don't, what I usually do when I'm sewing in multiple signatures is I'll take all but one of the clips off, and then I'll just take that one clip and just move it and either put it up here or up here, and it helps to sew in other signatures so it's not like all your pages aren't flopping back and forth. So this isn't quite finished, but now the signature is in, okay? And it's not going anywhere, okay? Okay, so we got the binding done, and with these binding things, you can add some little charms. I might add some beads to this to give it a little bit of flair here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and, while I'm working on this cover, I'm just going to pin it down a little bit. So I made this. This is from Artzology, Deb at Artzology's Vintage Ladies Kit. And there is a ton of ladies in this package in pretty much any era. There's some, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, on down to like the 1800s type. Here's just one sheet, and I'll print out everything on regular paper and show you how I usually do when I do the final flip through, so that you can see all of the kits that are used in these 3 journals. Okay, so I picked this one for this journal because she's just sassy. I don't know, I just love her face. So I thought we would glue, and I actually might not be able to use the clip because I want these kind of glued down. And how I did that was I just took some lace, the thicker lace, and I think I actually got this stuff at Walmart in their wedding department. And then I just sewed her onto it with some lace and a little one of my crocheted flowers. But what I did do with these is I treated them. And you won't be able to see it, I don't think, in the camera, but I cut them down, and then I use a little bit of clear spray. And I think that one was the Rust-Oleum gloss. I just give it a couple of quick sprays. I don't hold it to it, just light misting. That way, if you have water anywhere near your journal, it's really not going to damage the integrity too much. I mean, obviously, if you get it up underneath, obviously water will come there. But if you drip a little spot of coffee or water or whatever right here on the front, it's not going to hurt it. You just wipe it off, and then it's not going to make your inks bleed or anything like that. All right, so let's glue her down, and we'll have to set her aside after we're done. So back to what we were talking about a minute ago. Where to start? Well, you can start anywhere. I guess you kind of have to do some investigation on what kind of styles you like. If you have, you can do a very basic generic thing of like everything that you like. A junk journal really is true to its name. It's a junk journal. You can use junk mail. You can use just about anything you would like to use in a junk journal. There's a lot of fabulous videos out there that of ladies who actually do use like windowed envelopes. And how they usually use them is they keep the window clear, and then they use scrapbooking paper like this, and they kind of just fill in the edges, and then you can always use like little labels. I use words quite frequently in them, so you just dress them up, and you can really do them kind of however, like whatever floats your boat. If you love flowers, then maybe look for some books about flowers, or like, you know, the only like company I can think of right offhand is like Gurney's. Sends every spring and every fall, they send a catalog of flowers and everything they have available for the fall in your area, and then obviously they ship it to you. So Gurney's is a good one to get images out of. I would tell you though, if you're going to use it for anything other than personal, you need to check copyrights, okay? And of course, you can always order online or like on Etsy graphic packs. Like Deb has all kinds of different flowers and florals and you name it. She's got pretty much everything. Mushrooms, a sewing kit, all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to set this girl aside so she can finish drying. All right, so then we have this lovely lady. Isn't she beautiful? I just like her a lot. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to stack my pages, and I'm just going to kind of skim through gently because I had all my papers where I wanted them to lay in the thing. There's only one in particular I'm worried about. It's that one. And we'll slide that one up just a little. Just a little, okay. Okay. Also, too, the more videos you watch, the more you'll learn that some people bind their journals. Like that's the first things they do is they make their cover, they bind their journals, and then they decorate the pages. I've done that, and it works. It's a good process. For me, doing my signatures before I bind them works best for me. It doesn't necessarily mean that the other way won't work for somebody else. That's just, the more journals you do, the more you'll figure that out, what exactly works for you. All right, so again, make sure all your graphics are up at the top. Like, lay them out. Okay, and again, I've already creased this one. Okay, and that looks about right to me, but let's get that little measure out again. That's really handy that I figured that out, that it has 0. So let's measure, because each one of these is probably going to be a little bit different, because I made each one just a little bit different as far as the covers. And that's not going to help me because it's got the measure in the middle. Oh, maybe this side would though. Okay. All right, so they are just like 9 3/4. This one is. Okay. So if we're at 9 3/4, again, we're going to be 5, just under 5. Okay, about there. Okay, and again, we're going to mark, let's get this out just a little. Okay, and then we're at a little at 4, so again, I'm going to go just 1 past 3 on this side. A little under 3 on this side. Okay, can I see those marks later? I believe I can. Okay. All right, so we'll do this one more time on camera, and then I'm going to shut it off, and then I'm going to finish up the third one, and then I'm going to dress them up, and I got like 6 more pieces to make to finish out all 3 of them. So yeah, I will be back after a little bit. So let's go ahead and finish this one up. So we're pretty much centered, and I am right in the crease. Okay. Actually, again, before we move, I'm going to go ahead and cut these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know if I usually thread them. You know, honestly, I think most people have kind of a system, and it fluctuates a little bit. Okay, so again, I'm going to find my middle right there. Before I do it, I'm going to kind of fold it over. This also helps you to get it pretty straight. Okay. Okay, and then I always go to the top one. It's right here. Oh, that one's a tough one. Must be a little bit of glue right there. Okay. There we go. That one. Okay, I'm going to find my third one down here. All right, now we can start with this. Remember, I find that and that, and work it through. Set it down for a second. Get this little guy clipped on. Through. All right, go up to the top. Through here. Through there. here. Go through this one again. Up through there, and see, sometimes you can come out the other side where you're already on the other side of this, but see, I've got to go back through here and just do this. Okay. Now, I'm going to take that one out. Okay. And remember, so this one is connected up here. So if you pull this one, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it moves, obviously. And you want to just make sure you're good and tight. Okay. And no worries, that was the gold piece in here that popped, nothing else. Okay. All right, so there is the other journal all tied in. Okay. And then we'll just take these off. See if there's a little bit of that strand that came off. Okay, and then we'll put this little girl on the front, and then I will sign off, and then we will be back to do the flip throughs in just a little bit. Okay, and then I will actually open this one back up again. And before I glue down the lace over here, there we go. And there we go. So we'll set that one aside too. And then I will finish up the third one, and we'll be back in just a little bit. All right, bye guys.